In my view, the clinical trials are very important because normally, take for example, if you develop a drug. The drug is produced in the biochemical laboratory, then it is tested in a variety of animal models and different circumstances, and only after it has been proven safe it comes into humans. First in normal subjects without the disease, and after that in patients who have the disease. And so only when studying the patients themselves, you get the final answer to the question you have and to find the new drugs. So, for example, asthma, which is the subject of eubiopret, severe asthma, is very complex. Many aspects, and there is no animal model that can mimic all the aspects of that complex disease. And of course, if the patients participate in trials, there has been already a medical ethical committee that looks if the study is necessary, whether it is safe enough to participate in the study, and whether it is well, feasible to do it. When you want to participate in the study, you have to volunteer yourself. Because for doctors it is often very difficult to ask patients to participate, because patients might feel obliged to say yes, whereas otherwise they would have said no. So that's why they have really to volunteer themselves. So as soon as the patient enters a trial, a variety of tests will be done, and that varies very much between studies. So sometimes it is only asking questions, or asking for permission to use the tests that are being performed on a routine basis. If it is a drug trial, patients are being asked to take drugs. And in the case of studies about mechanisms, sometimes it is necessary from a research point of view to have tissue that is obtained via a method that is not normally performed in the clinic just for the treatment of the patients. So, for example, in the eubiopret, we ask the patients to give sputum by a procedure that is called sputum induction, which is not a normal test in routine practice, or even to undergo a bronchoscopy, because then we can take small samples of tissue from the airways where the problem is to study that, for example, under the microscope. We have taken patients with severe asthma and compared them with patients with milder forms of asthma and normal healthy volunteers, both children and adults. And the comparison includes all kinds of aspects of the disease. So, for example, we ask questions, of course, but we also look at lung function, at blood tests, at allergies, at smoking habits. We look at urine, sputum, even the molecules in exhaled breath we analyze. And of course, hopefully also there will be enough tissue from the lungs itself via bronchoscopy. And in the end, hopefully we will have then enough data analyzed in a very specific way to be able to say or to find out what the real mechanisms of severe asthma are as compared to milder forms of asthma or normal subjects. I'm convinced that the eubiopret project will have enormous, huge beneficial effects for patients with severe asthma in different respects, because first of all we will be able to really know what severe asthma is, for example, as compared to patients who have asthma that is difficult to treat for a variety of other reasons, for example, stress or so. And in the clinic, it is not very easy to know the difference, but maybe, or hopefully, eubiopret will provide us with a marker that tells us this is really a patient with severe asthma and this is not. Another aspect is that the EuBioPret study will give us clues what are the different phenotypes or the different subtypes of severe asthma. In the clinic we already knew a long time ago that asthma patients differ. There are different types of asthma, but we don't know how to define these different types. And EuBioPret will give us the underlying mechanisms of the different clinical phenotypes so that we know what's happening in these patients. And finally, which is of course the most important part of the whole study, the main objective, is to analyze all the materials that we get, couple the results to the clinical characteristics of the patients, and then find the molecular pathways of the different mechanisms in the different subtypes of patients. And if we know the details of a certain pathway of disease, then we can go to the pharmaceutical industry, which is also part of the whole EuBioPret study, and give them clues how they have to proceed to develop new drugs for asthma. Because finding new drugs for severe asthma, for which we don't have any drugs yet, is the main goal for asthma treatment for the doctors in the clinic.